In the shop now. We're getting kind of a slow, steady dribble of really off the wall, old school pump action shotguns through here. Seeing Arsenal's been running a couple of them through. We're not going to do I'm not going to do an episode on this gun. However, you can see that there is heavy corrosion and patina on this, but it's all here, and it's probably one of the best looking unions you can ever find. So we're going to go ahead and run this thing through the conversion step. We're going to do a little bit of, as you can see, there's some slop here and how the barrel takedown is set up. Yeah, a little bit of slop there. We'll take care of that too. So that item is going to get torn down and thrown in the conversion pot right now. And well, in the next update, we'll give you the afters on this, maybe, if we still got it. What is this monstrosity? Well, this is a 7 Mauser military action step barrel that had been mounted in a custom made stock. We know it was custom made because of how the sling swivels were inletted. The problem with this particular stock is that it got a warp in it, and it bowed this thing around like this, and I mean bowed it around hard, and it bowed it so hard that it lifted the barrel out of the barrel channel and blew the entire cheek block loose in the back. I was getting ready to call the owner of this gun, and trust me, I've had this thing for a long time, and I had called Uncle on how to figure out how the heck to bend it back. I think I had an Instagram post a while ago. I had this thing jigged. Let's just say I didn't use enough prejudice with how we did it. So we've got it mounted to this steel rail, and we used Thor, my newly commissioned deep pot, in order to steam this thing. We put this 15-gallon can up on top of it and had the entire thing sitting down inside with this rail touching the bottom, keeping the stock out of the water. And we steamed this thing with extreme prejudice. I've still got it rigged here. We haven't broke it loose because it's still cooling down. So what we're wanting to do once we get it apart is we'll pull this clamp off, which was holding the wood around the magazine well, and then there's a couple of clamps back here that bent it through the wrists, and I kid you not, this thing had 3/4 of an inch of cast on. It was this way, and then this thing was almost a 1/2 inch over here. So maybe I saved this stock. Now I had to commit to completely refinishing the stock, and then I've got to get all this wax off of it because I waxed the piss out of this metal before I put it in here in an attempt to keep me from having to do anything to it. Yeah, this one's going to be interesting. 7 Mauser stalking rifle, beautiful gun, and we'll see when we get it out of here whether or not it held its truth or not. So this interesting little cat's in the shop. Yes, the tanker is still here because even though the 2 videos are done, I'm still trimming this bad boy out. There's some issues here with the fact that the barrel was going around on the back, and it runs great. No bullet strikes up at the front. We got the muzzle right. But the front sight's over a little bit. Take a look at this. So how am I going to get out of that? Well, I'm thinking about welding up the 600-yard hole and then moving the 600-yard hole over and down. If you look at this target, and we'll see how well this is going to show up. Here you go. First group of holes, point of aim right here in the middle. I aimed here, I shot up there. Second group of holes, I aimed here, shot over there, and you can see here we were basically at 2 inches over to the right. Here we're 1 inch over to the right. And then the number 3 aiming point was here. I'm still over a little bit because I wanted to prove something to myself. There were 4 keyholes in that piece of cardboard. There's one here, and then there were 2 that you didn't see. And then I went back and looked at all my brass, and there were 4 rounds that hit that 4 pieces of brass that were not this 150 grain PPU. Conclusion, this gun won't spin a projectile, won't stabilize a heavier projectile. So we're stuck with 150s because we're not getting the revolutions per minute we need because our velocity's down because the barrel shoulder. All right, this thing's only got to be able to hit a basketball at 100 yards. The other thing you'll note is that my eyes suck. So, you know, this is about the group I can do with my eyes. I have an astigmatism, so both of my eyes, the astigmatisms are in opposite directions, and that's why you don't see me do a lot of shooting on the air, because I'm not a very good rifleman and I can't shoot a handgun anymore. And when I shoot shotgun, I just take both of the blobs out at the end of the barrel and aim it at all 4 blobs that are flying. And if I lead the blobs right, all the blobs break. Yeah. There's a dual leaf on this. So when I was talking, that's the 600-yard leaf, and that's the 300. And what I think I'm going to do is plug this hole and make a custom rear out of this and drill the hole in the right spot in order to compensate for the fact that by the time I get done shoving this front sight over, it's going to be damn near halfway out of the dovetail. I don't know how well that's showing up, but you're just going to have to believe me. I'll get it all straightened out. So the real answer is these guns get trimmed out. Even after the video was done, I got to stop making the video sooner or later and trim the gun out and mail it home to the customer while we're doing 50 or 60 other things. These projects take a while because you got to do a lot of thinking, and then you got to do a lot of building. And in the middle of the building, you're not just working on one gun exclusively, you're working on multiple pieces of equipment, because one trip over to this nice indoor range I have that's instrumented and correctly lit, it's a half a day, and I can't burn a half a day on one project. I can burn a half a day on 4, but it takes 2 weeks to get those 4 projects ready to go. A lot of you have been asking about the muzzle blast of this thing, and it's different than a handgun. It's not a great big fireball out in the middle of nowhere, but that flash hider does a fabulous job of knocking it back to where it doesn't bother you. I'm not really worried about the dark adaptation of the target. I'm really worried about mine. It did that, and then you've seen what I did on the what I've done on the paper. It's acceptably accurate. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Anyway, it's been great. This is what's floating through the shop, and we'll catch up with you guys here soon. Thank you.